Chapter 76. Her Brother's Dream of Being a Star. It was already evening when Lan Anran returned home. After washing up, she was browsing Weibo when she saw the Mo family's group Lu Tian's Entertainment Weibo page recruiting new members. Her eyes lit up. Yanran had a chance now. She was just about to tell Yanran about it when she saw the email on her computer. It was Rongzi. She opened it and saw the contents. Change of plans. Abandon Shang Tian and find someone called Zero. She is an internationally renowned psychologist, so the price will not change. Lan Anran thought for a moment and typed a few words on the keyboard. Sorry, I'm only cooperating with you to find Shang Tian. If the plan changes, I don't think there's a need for us to cooperate anymore. Rongzi sent a message quickly. Don't you want that 1 billion? Lan Anran hesitated again. Suddenly having a greedy thought, she smiled and continued to type. All right, deal. What else do you know about her? I can find out more easily if you tell me. She wanted to do both, so she wouldn't give up on searching Shang Tian. Her interest in him grew. From now on, searching for Shang Tian was her mission. It had nothing to do with anyone else. I don't know. I just know that she's very mysterious, Rongzi continued. Anran was relieved. They didn't know much about Zero. When the time came, she just needed to stall and find someone to imitate her. Roger that. She smiled and deleted that email. Finding Zero wouldn't be easy. Lan Anran continued to look at the Weibo on her phone. Lu Tian Entertainment. Yanran, come here. She hugged her phone and shouted. Yanran ran over when he heard the voice. Sis, what's wrong? Look, this is the management company for Lu Tian Entertainment, a subsidiary of the Mo family group. They're hiring newbies. Do you want to go? Anran asked brightly. Yanran looked at the Weibo post on her phone. His eyes lit up and he nodded excitedly. Sis, I want to be a star even in my dreams. My goddess, Li Shishi, is also in the Lu Tian Entertainment. If we can stay in the same company, we might have a chance to meet. It would be a dream come true. It would be great if I could go, but... Yanran was very excited at the beginning, but his face fell afterwards. What's wrong? As long as you're not afraid of hardship, sign up. You'll definitely make it, Anran said. Really, sis? I'm not afraid of hardship. I love this profession. Yanran was a little excited. He believed his sister's words, and now that she was his wishing artifact, he believed everything she said. Go ahead. I support you. I'll talk to Mom and Dad. Anran patted his shoulder encouragingly. This is great. Yanran ran back to his room. Anran looked at the competition and saw that it was about to end in 2 weeks. The registration would start now and the auditions would start when the competition ended. The timing was perfect. As long as her brother liked it, she would definitely help him fulfill his wish. A little later, Mo Jinrong and Mo San appeared in the black market. Old man, have you found the information I asked you to? Mo San raised his head. Young Master Mo, the information you want is really difficult to find, but I have some news. I heard that Q attended an event with hackers all over the world a few years ago. The person who attended the event recalled that Q was a very beautiful woman. She wasn't old, and we don't know what she looked like. After all, top hackers are very cautious and wear masks. They don't even leave fingerprints. Q seemed to be from wrong city as well. This was the only time she appeared, and she hasn't been seen since then. I don't know anything else, the old man said, and Mo San was a little suspicious. However, it was good enough that the old man could find out about this. He himself didn't know where the information came from. Mo Jinrong placed a bag of cash on the table, and the old man accepted it with a clear conscience. It seems like Q is very cautious. It will be difficult to capture her. Mo Junrong frowned. After leaving the tent, Mo San then spoke up. Young master, this old man is incredible to have found out this information. Cut it out. Is there news of Lan Anran? Mo Junrong asked softly as he walked. Since there was no news from Q, they could only start with Lan Anran. No, the scouts said there hasn't been anything special in the past few days. Other than some meals, hospital, and home trips, she barely left the house, Mo San replied. She didn't go out? How was Rong Zi? Mo Junrong asked again. He sat in the car and kept tapping his index finger, a sign that he was in deep thought. Raster Z just sent a message. He has reached an agreement with Q to change targets to 0. Alright, tell Rong Zi to find traces of Q, no matter what, Mo Junrong said, exhausted. Yes, young master. There's something else. Recently, I noticed that someone seemed to be investing Shang Tian. Fortunately, I've replaced Boss Yu. Old Mrs. Wong is taking over, and her man has cancer. I promised to give her a 30% discount. Mo San drove as he said. Who is investing in Shang Tian? I don't know yet. I heard from Boss Yu that someone came to find out, but he didn't say anything. Is it possible that it's Q? Mo San continued. If it's really her, find a way to stop her. She'll ruin our plan. Mo Junrong closed his eyes. Chapter 77. She was reasonable. Got it. The recent matters must have troubled you. It's still early. Why don't you go to the bar to liven things up? Mo San suggested. Do you think I've lived too long? When have I ever been to a bar? Mo Junrong questioned. No, young master, I just wanted to cheer you up, as you haven't been very energetic recently. After all, the company's auditions are in 2 days. I was afraid that you would get dizzy and end up eliminating the pretty girls. Mo San smiled boldly. There were thousands of goddesses, and young ladies were changing every year. He wondered who would be his goddess this year. The auditions? Mo Junrong seemed to have forgotten something as he asked. Oh, I forgot. Young master, this is your biggest headache every year, but this year you'll have to suffer a little more. Mo San covered his mouth and smiled. Every year, this was the day Lu Taiyan Entertainment recruited newbies, and Mo Junrong wanted to keep an eye on them. This was the promise he made with Mo Changwen. He wondered who they would send in this year. Last year, Mo Junrong almost eliminated his goddess Li Shishi, so he had to save her. Otherwise, his goddess wouldn't have made it this far. Mo Junrong took a deep breath, feeling pressured. Every year at this time, he would avoid it if he could, but he never was able to dodge it. Suddenly, he had a good idea. Mo-san, since Lan Anran and I are married, is it reasonable for her to supervise instead? Yes, young master. Didn't you ask me to find Miss Lan a few days ago to talk about this? I forgot about that. Wait for me. I'll inform her tomorrow. Mo-san smiled. No need. I'll go myself. Have you forgotten your identity? Mo Junrong spoke coldly. This identity was really inconvenient sometimes, and he had to run errands personally for everything. He didn't look like a young master at all. Mo-san agreed. In reality, he thought that young master wanted to see Miss Lan and was too embarrassed to say it. He understood all of this. After all, he had seen what had happened in the toilet, and there wasn't much need to explain. The next day, Mo Junrong heard that Lan Anran had gone to school, so he personally went to find her. Anran, which one do you think looks good? Zhao Shaolui brought 2 hair clips and placed them on her head, letting Anran choose. As she turned around, she saw Mo Junrong. I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. He comes to see me every day and never confesses. I can't tolerate such useless people. I'm going to reject him. She stood up and strode towards Mo Junrong. Before Lan Anran could react, Zhao Shaolei was already in front of Mo Junrong. She was frightened and didn't know what to do. so she could only hide and watch everything secretly. Hey, I don't know who you are, but you visit me every day and don't confess. Would it kill you to say that you like me? Now I'll be with you if you say that you like me. Zhao Xiaolei was embarrassed as she spoke. I can die. Mo Jinrong was taken aback as he blinked, forcing the words out between his teeth. Zhao Xiaolei was furious. What are you doing here? I'm looking for Lan Anran, Mo Jinrong replied coldly. Zhao Xiaolei was enlightened. From this direction, he was indeed looking at her, but in reality, he was looking at Lan Anran. Her face flushed with embarrassment. And Anran, I'll call her for you. I was just joking with you. Zhao Xiaolei turned to leave, her face flushed with embarrassment. Anran, someone is looking for you. Zhao Xiaolei returned to her seat and lowered her head. Seeing that she couldn't avoid it, Lan Anran could only stand up and smile awkwardly. I'll take a look. She crept over and it attracted Sun Hai's attention. She thought of the incident the other day and it made her a little agitated when she saw Lan Anran. She thought that Lan Anran had high medical attainments, but she refused to admit it. What do you want? Lan Anran spoke generously. Miss Lan, I'm here to remind you that you and Mr. Mo are married, and the Mo family's group entertainment company is hiring newbies. When the time comes, many female candidates will enter the company's audition. I hope that you can help with the selection using a female's perspective. Mo Jinrong spoke coldly. Butler Mo, why don't you just tell me to go over and stop the women? Don't worry, I'm already part of the Mo family. This is my duty. Besides, helping my husband stop women is an important matter. What do you think, Butler Mo? Anran smiled, her eyes sparkling. I've delivered the message. I'm leaving. Mo Jinrong was really afraid of meeting Lan Anran. He felt that sometimes she was like a pervert. Wait a minute, there's something I would like to ask you. My brother Yan Ran wants to participate in the audition of your corporation. If he is selected, could you treat him better? Anran's tone was weak because she needed a favor. Lu Taiyan Entertainment's audition was divided into two categories, male and female. If she was in the female group, she wouldn't be able to take care of her brother, so she wanted to ask Mo Jinrong for help. Your brother? Got it. If he's capable enough, the Mo family will treat him well. I want someone to help me earn money. If he's incapable, don't blame me for being heartless. Mo Jinrong spoke emotionlessly, but Lan Anran knew Mo Jinrong would definitely help her. Thank you, Mo. Butler Mo. Lan Anran spoke coquettishly. I have something to do. I'm leaving. Mo Jinrong wasn't used to seeing Lan Anran like this. He turned out to leave after speaking, but the corner of his mouth subconsciously lifted, though he didn't know it yet. Bye. Chapter 78, Advanced Hypnosis. Lan Anran shouted loudly and returned to the classroom. She saw Zhao Xiaolei staring at her with a horrified expression. Does that man like you? Lan Anran didn't know how to reply. It doesn't seem right to say that he likes her, because it would seem that she likes him more than he likes her. It also doesn't mean right to say that he didn't like her, as he had registered their marriage. This is hard to explain. She sat down, shaking her head. Anran, why didn't you tell me he likes you? I was so embarrassed just now. Zhao Xiaolei hugged Anran and spoke aggrievedly. I don't know if he likes me or not. Anran didn't really know. In her past life, Mo Jinrong loved her deeply, but in this life, she hasn't felt his love at all. Do you like him then? Zhao Xiaolei asked. Anran looked at her, shaking her head. You're blushing. It means you're lying. You like him. Zhao Xiaolei shouted, and Anran covered her mouth. Lower your voice. When was I blushing? I'm just a little hot. She covered her face and explained. Sun Hai, who was by the side, was extremely jealous. Ayn Rand was pretty and her medical skills were probably at a high level too. There were even two good-looking men coming to find her. To be honest, she really admired her, but she wasn't willing to admit it. She started to worry that she would really have to clean the toilets. Looking at Ayn Rand's rigor, she might even win. Time passed quickly, and it was almost a day before the competition. Zhao Shumi hired a teacher to teach Lan Yaxin, but they couldn't develop the flu medicine, so they had changed the topic and were certain they would crush everyone. On the eve of the competition, everyone had reported their prescriptions to the organizing committee, and Lan Yaxin had already submitted hers. "Yaxin, can you tell us what your reagent is?" Yan King probed. "You'll know when the time comes. It's a secret for now," Yaxin said. As soon as she finished speaking, she saw Ayn Rand walk to the teacher and hand over her reagent to Li Yu. Li Yu glanced at the reagent in confusion but didn't say anything. It's too late to change it. "Sis, what's your reagent about?" Yaxin didn't seem affected by the previous incident, and she inched closer to ask shamelessly. Ayn Rand didn't care about her and walked around her. "Damn it, you're ignoring me?" Yan King challenged her. "Some people think they're so great just after they write a short post. They're so arrogant." "Aren't you being a little sarcastic?" Ayn Rand turned around and left. "What are you arrogant so much for? You'll be the one crying when the time comes," Yan King cursed after her. "Yan King, the competition is about to start. Have you thought of a plan?" She couldn't bear to watch someone pulling an act. "Of course, just wait and see. When the time comes, Ayn Rand will be kicked out of the competition," Yan King smiled. Yuki was very curious about the idea. Seeing how confident Yan King was, she didn't ask any further, and would only know when the time came. Not far away, Lin Chang handed in his reagent and saw Ayn Rand. Although he was usually dissatisfied with her, he had a whole new level of respect for her after reading her post. He wanted to see what other abilities she had. The next day was the competition, and Lin Chang coincidentally drew the lots for that afternoon. His reagent couldn't have been simple, but it could be said to be simple too, as it was a medicine for bruises. In order to have a better look at the effects of the medicine, there would usually be a guinea pig related to the reagent. The medical effect wouldn't show immediately, so after the medicine was injected to the guinea pig's body, it would usually be placed for 2 to 3 days to see the effects. Hence, the effects came out after Lin Chang had finished explaining the medicinal properties and quantity. This was graded based on the condition of the guinea pig's recovery. Lin Chang didn't care about the scores at all. He came to the competition to let his father have a better look at him. He would be happier if his father paid attention to him, even if he didn't do well. After coming out of the examination room, he saw Ayn Rand. "What are you doing here?" he asked curiously. "Watching the test and preparing in advance," Ayn Rand spoke calmly. The test was transparent and was in a live broadcast, which is also relatively important matter in Rung City. There was a large screen outside the examination room broadcasting the situation in it. Many people would come over to watch other people's reagents in order to understand their opponents. "Are you scared?" Lin Chang guessed. Ayn Rand ignored him and continued to leave. She had more important things to do now. The little tale around her was too annoying. She needed to find out what was going on. She picked up her phone and spoke coldly. "Fatty, I asked about these tales a few days ago. Have you asked?" "Tale? Oh, sorry, boss, I forgot." Fatty seemed to be eating something as he mumbled. "Forget it. All you know is how to eat. I'll do it myself." Ayn Rand hung up the phone and saw a skinny man. She walked over nonchalantly and approached him quietly. The skinny man beside her seemed to be possessed and suddenly stopped moving. This is a high-level hypnosis that could be achieved full control with a glance. "Tell me, Who told you to keep an eye on me? Ayn Rand asked softly with a smile. The skinny man's eyes were dull and he couldn't control himself. Mo Jinrong, he's our boss. He wants us to monitor your every move. Mo Jinrong? Ayn Rand was shocked. Had she been exposed? Why is he watching me? I don't know. Boss didn't say, the skinny man said slowly. Ayn Rand walked past the skinny man and picked up the newspaper on the ground. The skinny man suddenly became normal. Thank you. Then Ayn Rand nodded and walked past him. The skinny man felt like something was missing, but he couldn't remember what it was. Chapter 79. Cannot Have Children. Ayn Rand casually walked away. The skinny man was still in a daze when he suddenly heard a solemn voice in his earpiece. Skinny, were you discovered? What did Lan Ayn Rand say to you? She didn't discover me. She seemed to be asking me how to get to the stadium. This was what the young man remembered, but for some reason it felt strange. Lan Ayn Rand was still puzzled when she returned home. Why did Mo Jinrong send someone to monitor her? If she had been exposed, he would have sent someone over a long time ago, but he didn't. This meant that he wasn't sure of her identity. It seemed that she would have to be more careful in the future. Just then, her phone rang and an unknown number appeared. She frowned and picked it up. Hello? Ayn Rand, I'm Jinrong's uncle. Are you free tomorrow? I want to meet you to talk about Jinrong. Mo Changwen smiled. Ayn Rand's lips lifted and she smiled. All right, I'll see you at the cafe across from my school tomorrow. She hung up the phone after speaking. She didn't expect Mo Changwen to be so impatient so quickly. In her past life, he didn't hesitate to cut off the Mo Family Corporation's escape route in order to frame Mo Jinrong and finally obtain the inheritance rights of the Mo Family Corporation. Of course, she had a part in it as well, so she wouldn't be so silly this time. Just then, Ayn Rand's voice came from outside. Mom, why are you back? Lan Ting-young helped Li Yiro into the house. Your mom insisted on coming home. She said that she hadn't been home in a long time and missed it a lot. She seems to be in good health and will be better after some care. Mom, why didn't you tell me you were coming back? I would have picked you up. Ayn Rand walked out and helped Li Yiro sit down. It's all right. I'm in good health now. I will be better after resting at home. The hospital is nothing compared to our family. Li Yiro looked around with a smile. After being in the hospital for such a long time, she felt a sense of familiarity at home. Mom, Dad, I have something to tell you. Lan Ayn Rand spoke up and spoke solemnly. Why are you so serious? Do you have a girlfriend? Li Yiro teased. No, I just registered for the auditions at Lu Tian Entertainment. Ayn Rand lowered his head, thinking that Li Ting-young and Li Yiro would scold him for signing up without telling them. Ayn Rand lowered his head, thinking that Lan Ting-young and Li Yiro would scold him for signing up without telling them. What? Ayn Rand, I know that you want to be a star and I support you, but your grandma... Ayn Rand, I support you. Yiro, Ayn Rand told me about this before and I promised her. Ayn Rand really isn't suited to be a doctor. The doctor needs to save the dying and heal the injured. It would be good if Ayn Rand didn't kill anyone. You don't have to worry about Mom. Lan Ting-young was the first to support Ayn Rand, which made him very excited. Li Yiro didn't expect Lan Ting-young to be so generous and open-minded, so she didn't say anything. We support you, so don't worry. Lu Tian Entertainment is the Mo Family Entertainment's business. I'm sure your brother-in-law is a reasonable person. Ayn Rand helped him. Seeing how handsome her son was, Li Yiro thought that he might actually become a big star. Don't worry, Dad. Mom, I spoke to Jinrong today. He will take care of Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand, have you and young Master Mo been close recently? Lan Ting-young asked. Young Master Mo has been coming to see our sister frequently, and once he drove a sports car to the school gates, causing a stir in our school. Yan Ran spoke first, seemingly very dissatisfied with his brother-in-law. He was mainly afraid of him embarrassing her. His sister was beautiful and famous in school. It was embarrassing to have such an ugly brother-in-law. And Ran, that won't do. You may be married now, but you're still a student. Students should do what students should. I hope that you won't have any physical contact with Mo Jinrong for the time being. If you become a mother at such a young age, your life will be over, Li Yuro reminded her earnestly. Anne Rand flushed. She was originally sitting but suddenly stood up. Mom, Dad, what are you saying? How did you get to this? Don't worry, we didn't. She suddenly reminded their first kiss in the Mo family, and her face flushed again. That's good. Mom and Dad are worried that you'll be in danger of having a child. Even if you're married, you have your own path and can't be a mother early. You're not a child anymore, so it's good that you know. Lan Tingyong spoke gently. Mom, Dad, I haven't done anything. I'll make some soup for Mom in the kitchen. Anne ran to the kitchen shyly, touched her hot face, and calmed down to cook the soup. Lan Tingyong and Li Yuro wore a sad expression in the living room as they talked about old Mrs. Lan. Hubby, what do you think about our relationship with Mom? It's true, Mom probably won't give up. The hospital is ours and no one can take it from us. But she's my mother. No matter what, as long as she doesn't go overboard, I'll be filial. Lan Tingyong was a filial son to his bone. He felt that regardless of what happened, Zhao Shumi had given birth to him. Even if there was a conflict between them, their blood relationship was still there, and they couldn't do anything overboard. Yan Ran didn't speak at the side. He knew in his heart that old Mrs. Lan wouldn't let the matter rest. She was probably up to no good. Chapter 80. Uncle's Gift. The next day, Ayn Rand went to the appointment with Mo Chang-wen after school. She didn't even care if there was a tale behind her, as it could better prove her innocence. The cafe opposite the school was filled with students, and Lan Ayn Rand was a famous person in the school. Hence, she received attention the moment she entered, and many people started to have wild thoughts when they saw her sitting with an old man. Someone from the countryside wants to climb up the social ladder? Is that man very rich? Of course, look at that Rolex watch, the new Italian suit, and the leather shoes. He must be a rich old man. They were whispering. It wasn't loud, but Ayn Rand had sharp ears. Even if she heard it, she didn't have any reaction. She couldn't be bothered with such boring things. Mo Chang-wen drank his coffee and spoke first. Are you Ayn Rand? Are you Lan Ayn Rand? I'm sorry I wasn't there for the family banquet last time, so I wanted to get to know you again today. Ayn Rand had a faint smile on her face. She knew in her heart that this old thing was trying to buy her off and test her. Did he think that she didn't know? Hello, Uncle Mo. Didn't you let Aunt go to the family dinner last time? She didn't tell you about it when she got home. Mo Chang-wen was stunned, thinking that she wasn't simple. She looked gentle yet spoke very forcefully. Your aunt spoke about it when she got home. She said that you were very pretty, knowledgeable, and sensible. I just wanted to see what kind of person could be with Jinrong. You don't seem ordinary at first glance. Uncle, don't beat around the bush. Ayn Rand didn't like such polite words. It was a waste of time. What a smart girl. Then I won't beat around the bush. Ayn Rand, Jinrong has a strange temper. You probably don't understand, but 5 of his wives already died. Aren't you afraid? I'm not afraid. In any case, my life is filled with evil spirits, and I've jinxed many chickens, ducks, pigs, and dogs since I was a child. My family's ancestral business was affected when I was born, and there was nothing to be afraid of with my tough life. Lan Ayn Rand spoke easily. Mo Chang-wen clenched his fist and smiled. Ayn Rand, Jinrong is almost 30, and you're still so young. Have you thought it through? I thought it was good for him to be old. Older men would be more mature and more likely to take care of people. The Mo family is such a big business, and Jinrong is older, so he won't be able to take everything to the grave. Don't you think so, Uncle? Mo Chang-wen found her harder and harder to deal with. He nodded, took out a wad of cash from his pocket, and placed it on the table. And this is a small gift. You can accept it. This is the first time I'm meeting you, so this is a gift. I hope in the future you'll help me if I encounter any difficulties. It would be good if such a person could be persuaded to work for him. But if she wouldn't work for him, he could only destroy her. Anne understood that this was Mo Chang-wen's plan to subdue her. She smiled and looked at the money on the table. This is not much, 100,000 yuan. Mo Chang-wen thought she was going to agree and spoke confidently. How much money could a student have? 10,000 yuan was already too much for them. Uncle, I'll accept this 100,000 yuan as a greeting gift. If you encounter any difficulties in the future, we can discuss it again. What do you think? Lan Anran stared at Mo Chang-wen with big, watery eyes and a smile, sending chills down his spine. It would be a waste not to accept the money, since he said it was a greeting gift. Was there a reason not to accept it? Mo Chang-wen saw Lan Anran putting the 100,000 yuan in her bag. He wanted to stop her, but couldn't find the right words. According to Mo Chang-wen, this 100,000 yuan was wasted. He might not even need her help in the future. This girl was too shrewd. Anran, you're an adult, and you know some things. Siding with the wrong side will result in punishment. You're still young, and I don't want to see Jinrong upset, Mo Chang-wen reminded her. Uncle, what do you mean? If you really don't want to see Jinrong upset, you should know your place. For example, you should hide your illegitimate son as well. Jinrong would be very upset if they had to fight each other, Anran reminded him. In her past life, Mo Chang-wen had helped his illegitimate son become the heir of the Mo family corporation. She could still remember the scene of Mo Jinrong being ruthlessly stepped on by his illegitimate son. What? How did she know he had a mistress and an illegitimate son? Mo Chang-wen was a little surprised. Was Anran following him or secretly investigating him? No third party knew about this. Uncle, don't be surprised. If you and I don't say anything, no one will know. As for the help that you mentioned in the future, I think you can just behave yourself. There isn't anything you will need my help with. Anran stood up after saying this. Uncle, please help me pay for this coffee. I'm from the countryside and I don't have much money. I'll have to save this 100,000 yuan for later, just in case Uncle might need to use it in the future. She turned around and left. Mo Chang was furious. She couldn't be bribed, and now he was being threatened. He clenched his fists. I can't let her live. Lan Anran, you're going to end up like those 5 women. Chapter 81. Almost. Anran carried her bag and walked out of the cafe happily, her little tail following closely behind. The moment Lan Anran entered the cafe, someone had reported this to Mo Jinrong and taken photos of her taking money. Young master, is Miss Lan being bribed? Mo-san was confused. Mo Jinrong stared at the phone in silence, his fingers tapping lightly again. He was becoming more and more confused about Lan Anran. Let them continue to monitor her. It's time to teach them a lesson, Mo Jinrong spoke coldly. Young master, in my opinion, Miss Lan has just married into the Mo family, and she doesn't even live in the Mo family. She probably doesn't even know the Mo family well. That's why she took Mr. Mo's money so easily. As long as we make things clear to her, Miss Lan is a smart person, and probably wouldn't make an enemy out of you, Mo-san said. Countrywomen are indeed countrywomen. She couldn't resist the temptation with just a little money. She really hasn't seen much of the world. Mo Jinrong clenched the photo tightly, gritting his teeth. Young master, should we ask Mr. Mo about this as well? After all, forming cliques is very detrimental to you. Mo-san was worried. Hasn't Mo Chang-wen done such things often? This time, he actually dared to brazenly extend his hand to people around me. I have to teach him a lesson. Send Mo Chang Wen's photos of his woman to Shu Pei and remind him to behave and not think about doing anything that would let the Mo family down. Mo Jinrong's tone was colder than before. This way, Mr. Mo's backyard will catch on fire and he won't have time to deal with your matters. Mo-san smiled. That's a good idea. Rongzi walked in with his hands behind his back. He was dressed very decently and wasn't as arrogant as usual. Why didn't you call before you came in? Mo Jinrong didn't even raise his head. Who in the family doesn't know me? There's no need to call beforehand. I'm here today to tell you news of Q. Rongzi smiled and sat down. You have news? Mo Jinrong opened his eyes. Look at you. Aren't I here to deliver news? Rongzi placed the laptop on the table. What? Are you looking for Q here? Mo Jinrong was confused. I made Q a home email account, but it's actually a positioning software. I'll be able to catch her if she opens it, Rongzi replied. Then why are you doing it here? Mo Jinrong asked. What I'm doing is lying to her, and I can't go against my heart. So my intention is for Shang Taiyan to be with me so that I can have peace of mind. Rongzi smiled as he spoke. Rongzi then sent a message to Q. Shang Taiyan is with me. Are you interested? Lan Anren had returned home and turned on her computer when an email popped up. She clicked it open and saw Rongzi's message. She was stunned. Rongzi didn't let her find Shang Taiyan, and now he suddenly told her about it? It was strange. You work for Shang Taiyan and you betrayed him. People like you are unbelievable, Anren said. Rongzi replied as he located Q's position. Believe it or not, I'm employed by Shang Taiyan. But you seem quite interested. Good intentions don't always pay off. If you don't believe me, forget it. Anren chose not to reply to Rongzi's messages, as there might be a trap. She quickly switched off her computer. Rongzi was just a little bit away from being able to pinpoint Q's location. No! I almost had completely located Q's position, but she escaped again. Rongzi was furious. Where is she possibly at? Mo Jinrong asked. On Hurong Street, Rongzi replied. Hurong Street? Mo Jinrong suddenly felt that something wasn't right. Isn't that near the Lan family? What a coincidence. Rongzi was doubtful. Mo Jinrong stared at the computer quietly. The tracker stopped at Hurong Street. His mind was spinning. Young master, should we ask Miss Lan now? Mo-san asked. Mo Jinrong shook his head. No, don't alert the enemy. It will arouse suspicion. Interesting. Rongzi smiled. Q was quite smart and was very suitable to be his opponent. What should we do now? Mo-san asked. Wait, Mo Jinrong said. Then you can take your time waiting. It was a joyous occasion. I'm going back. Rongzi originally thought he would be able to catch Q today, but he didn't expect it to be more cunning than a loach. It made him lose face. Several more days passed. Lan Anren wasn't worried about the competition, but was instead researching Mo Jinrong's medicine. She couldn't afford to delay his illness any longer. Mo Chang Wen was coveting the Mo Family Corporation's position. She had to hurry and treat Mo Jinrong's illness. In Anren's opinion, Mo Jinrong's illness should be paired with a condensed scent, but the medicine couldn't be lacking either. The enhancer was extremely rare, and besides common herbs, there was another herb that was scarce. Anren didn't have it right now, and that was tiger grass. The environment it grew wasn't very harsh. It was just the growth cycle was too long. It would be better if there was a fully grown one, but even a small stalk was extremely rare, not to mention a fully grown one. She took out her phone and called Fatty. It's not convenient for me to make an appearance right now. Help me find the whereabouts of tiger grass. If you need money, feel free to find me. Boss, have you lost your internet connection recently? The tiger grass was purchased by the Lin family's chairman at a high price today. He said he would buy it to study medicine and nurture it in large quantities. You can visit the Lin group to have a look. It is said to be a good herb that was fully grown, Patty said. It seemed that Lan and Ran would have to be going to the countryside and searching for no reason. When she was there, she rarely looked at her phone. She really didn't know about the Lin family, and it seemed like now she had something to ask of Lin Chang. Chapter 82. Infiltrating the Lin Corporation. On the day of school, Lan and Ran went to talk to Lin Chang. Lin Chang. Ayn Rand went to school with her bag slung on her back and called out to Lin Chang when she saw him at the school gate. What? Lin Chang was getting impatient. I heard that your father bought a stalk of tiger grass. Is that true? Ayn Rand spoke softly. Why? You want it? Don't even think about it. Our family is also a medical researcher, and my dad spent a great deal of effort to get this tiger grass. Save it. Lin Chang turned to leave. Ayn Rand didn't know if the herb was still around, so she could only take a risk. She heard that the Lin family's laboratory has tight security, and it wasn't easy to enter. She thought for a moment, picked up her phone, wrote a line on it, and strode into school for class. The moment she entered the classroom, Zhao Xiaolei covered her mouth and snickered while looking at Lan and Ran. Ayn Rand was confused, not knowing what happened. What's wrong? Ayn Rand, you are indeed a beauty. Everyone likes you, and someone wrote you a love letter. I haven't read it, but the cover is disgusting. Zhao Xiaolei smiled, her eyes full of envy. Ayn Rand glanced at the love letter and threw it aside. She was married, so how could she accept such a thing? Your exams are tomorrow. Is your medicine ready? Ayn Rand changed the topic. It's done. It's related to intentional absorption. I don't expect to win an award, but a ranking is good. My parents do not have any requirements for me. Zhao Xiaolei smiled. Her parents were the most open-minded people in the world. They just wanted her to be happy. Ayn Rand nodded, still thinking about going to the Lin Corporation after school. Ayn Rand was in a daze the whole day. After school, she was about to leave when Yaxin stopped her with a smile. Sis, I haven't seen you in so long. Grandma misses you so much. Last time, Grandma didn't mean anything, but you and second uncle took it so seriously. Grandma has been nagging about the two of you. That old fox missed them because of their money. Don't block the way. I have something to do, Ayn Rand said. Sis, where are you going? I'm here today to remind you that Grandma is going to use her ultimate move. You have to be careful. Yaxin smiled triumphantly. Ayn Rand glanced at her and didn't speak. She knew that old Mrs. Land didn't have any good intentions, so she indeed had a big move planned. Sis, I'm just reminding you not to cry when the time comes. I didn't say anything, and you don't know what Grandma is up to, but you and Uncle should be prepared. I'm afraid that the situation will be too miserable, so don't blame me for not reminding you, Yaxin gloated. Go away. Ayn Rand didn't have time to waste on Yaxin. She would let old Mrs. Land do whatever she wanted. After all, they would be the ones suffering in the end. Seeing that Ayn Rand didn't take it seriously at all, Yaxin scolded her from behind. Ha! Don't cry when the time comes. In order to shake off the tail behind her and successfully infiltrate the Lin Corporation, Lan Ayn Rand deliberately circled the streets several times before finally shaking off the tail. She secretly came to the Lin Corporation's underground garage and changed into a disguise before going up via the elevator. She had asked around and found that the Lin Corporation's laboratory was on the top floor, which had strict security and surveillance. In order to avoid detection, she had asked Patty to prepare a uniform from the Lin Corporation's laboratory. They hacked into Lin Corporation's network and electricity using computers, causing the entire building to be paralyzed. This was to break the surveillance and security facilities. The Lin Corporation was suddenly in a mess, and everyone was rushing to fix it. Ayn Rand took the opportunity to sneak into the laboratory. The laboratory was dark and was after work hours. There was no one in the laboratory, so Ayn Rand turned on a flashlight and carefully searched for the tiger grass. After searching for quite some time, she found the tiger grass at the end of the laboratory, but it was kept out of reach by a glass cover and couldn't be opened without a password. The quick-witted Ayn Rand took out her computer again, hacked into the Lin Corporation's laboratory password lock system, and changed the password. She then obtained the key and opened the glass cover. However, she didn't want to take all the grass, as it was bought with money. All she wanted was the fruit of the tiger grass, which was more effective than the tiger grass itself. Just then, hurried footsteps came from outside. There can't be any problem with the laboratory. Hurry to see if there's anything missing, said Lin Jikong as he took the lead. Yes. A security guard was unlocking the laboratory's password door, but it couldn't be opened. He turned and spoke. Boss Lin, the password has been changed. We can't open it at all. What? Changed? How did this happen? Break it open. The laboratory information is top secret and can't be leaked, Lin Jikong said anxiously. Boss Lin, we can't do that. The door is specially transported from abroad. Ordinary devices can't open it unless a bomb explodes, the security guard continued. Ayn Rand closed the glass cover unhurriedly. Everyone was blocking the door, so she had no chance of escaping. She sent a message to Fatty and Skinny, asking them to bring people to receive her outside the Lin Corporation. After sending the message, Ayn Rand took care of the grass seeds and looked around. The laboratory was sealed and there was only one main entrance. There was only a small window in the toilet. Lan and Ayn Rand looked down the window. They were on the top floor of the Lin Corporation, which was as high as 20 stories. There was a deep sense of fear when she looked down from above. Chapter 83, A Dangerous Moment. There were still knocking sounds outside. I don't care who is inside, you better come out now. There is no escape route inside, and you can forget about taking anything here. Open the door. Lin Jikong shouted towards the door. Lan Ayn Rand had no choice but to climb out the window. It was the first time she had done such a thing and couldn't help but feel nervous. She looked down and saw that there was a single small platform at every floor of the skyscraper. The platform area was just very nice for 2 feet, but without rope, one could easily be smashed to pieces if they fell. As the situation was urgent, she couldn't care less. She turned around and stood on the platform by the wall. The people were still knocking on the door. Boss, what should we do? The assistant asked. Call Mo Jinrong and ask for his help. Doesn't he have a lot of hackers? Ask him to send one over. Agree to whatever he wants. Hurry, Lin Jikong said anxiously. Okay. The assistant hurriedly turned to leave. Ayn Rand was still hanging outside the building. She looked down carefully. The next step was at the next window. There was no way she could get there. Suddenly, at that moment, a crane lowered from the sky, with workers wiping the glass. Ayn Rand seemed to have hope. She waved her hand, not daring to move too far in fear of falling down. There were 2 workers wearing safety hats on the crane, and they were slowly moving to the top. Miss, what are you doing? A worker held a cleaning spray. Uncle, I accidentally hung my stuff outside and can't go back in after picking it up. Lan Ayn Rand pretended to be pitiful. How can you be so careless? It's dangerous. Come down here quickly, a fat worker said. With that, the crane arrived in front of Lan Ayn Rand, and the 2 of them helped her onto the crane. Soon, the crane landed. Lan Ayn Rand thanked them and disappeared into the Lin Corporation. Mo Family Corporation. On the top floor of the tallest building in Rong City, Mo Jinrong was looking down at his documents when Mo San walked in. Young master, Lin Jikong sent news that the Lin Corporation was hacked. The internet and electricity were cut. The hacker can't leave the laboratory and they can't get in. He wants us to send a hacker over. He said to agree to any condition. Mo Jinrong stopped writing and raised his clear eyes, speaking calmly. They encountered hackers too? Master Mo, could it be Q? Mo-san speculated. Come, let's go now and call Rongzi. Mojin-Rong stood up and picked up his suit jacket. Mo-san followed behind him. After the call, the two of them got into the car and drove to the Lin Corporation. Boss Lin, Boss Mo will be here soon, the assistant said. We're not sure how much of the Lin family's research results have been taken away from that darn hacker. You useless people can't even stop a hacker. What do I need you for? Lin Jikong cursed. Boss Lin, you can't blame us. This hacker was too powerful. Our company's technicians are all fresh graduates. How could he compare to that kind of hacker? The assistant spoke softly. How dare you talk back? Trash. Lin Jikong continued to curse. After 10 minutes, Mojin-Rong and Mo-san arrived at the Lin Corporation. Rongzi took out his computer and restored the Lin Corporation's power and network. The entire building lit up again. The assistant hurriedly opened the door and a group of people rushed in. They searched the entire laboratory, but they couldn't find Lan Anran. Boss Lin, the hacker is missing, the assistant stammered. What? This is the top floor. This isn't a door. Did he fly out with wings? Lin Jikong was in disbelief. Mojin-Rong looked at the entire laboratory. It was clean and tidy. Hurry and take a look. Is there anything missing? Lin Jikong said anxiously. Mojin-Rong walked around the entire laboratory and suddenly noticed the toilet door was ajar. He walked in and saw a narrow window that was wide open. He stuck his head out and saw the footprints on the wall. Did she leave from here? Mojin-Rong was puzzled. At this moment, the assistant came over to report. Boss Lin, we're not missing anything else other than the tiger grass seed. What? I spent a fortune on this seed. Why would the hacker want it? Lin Jikong sighed. Forget it. Since the hacker is gone, we won't stay any longer. Boss Lin, don't forget what you said. Mojin-Rong spoke calmly. Thank you for your help, Boss Mo. I wonder what you would like. I heard that the Lin Corporation recently accepted a big order for medical equipment. I hope you can share this. Mo-san said with a smile. When he arrived, Mojin-Rong had already thought of what he wanted and couldn't leave the Lin family alone. Lin Jikong was hesitant about this. The Lin family got the deal with much difficulty and the profits were considerable. It was really annoying that the Mo family insisted on getting a share of this pie. Boss Lin, are you going back on your word? Mo-san asked. No, don't worry. I will give Boss Mo 30% of the profits. Lin Jikong smiled. No, I want the equipment. Boss Lin, think about it. Mo-san turned to leave after speaking, behaving like a young master of the Mo family. Chapter 84. She wanted to buy a machine. Outside the Lin Corporation, Mojin-Rong and Rongzi got into the car. Young master, I have investigated and confirmed that Q was behind this. She cut off the power and internet before she came, so that the surveillance cameras can't be used. There may be no more evidence. Rongzi hugged his laptop and sighed. Q is so cunning. Mojin-Rong gritted his teeth. Young master, do you think Q can fly? How did she get down from such a height? Wouldn't she have fallen to her death? Asked Mo-san as he drove. Rongzi, can you check the surveillance cameras around the Lin Corporation? Mojin-Rong said. Okay, let me have a look, Rongzi said. He hacked into Rong City's surveillance system and investigated the surrounding surveillance of the Lin Corporation, but didn't find anything unusual. Suddenly, Mojin-Rong saw half of a figure. Stop! Zoom in, he spoke solemnly. What's wrong? This is half of a figure, and it's just a back view. What can you even see? Rongzi spoke disdainfully. That figure looks familiar, Mojin-Rong muttered to himself. Everything you see would seem familiar now. Having a wife sure is different, Rongzi teased. Wife? Mojin-Rong suddenly felt that this person's figure resembled Anran. He didn't know whether it was because of his thoughts were being too bold, but he had thought of fallacy, such as Q being Anran. Are there other videos of her? He asked coldly. No, this is the last surveillance camera footage of the Lin Corporation. This person hasn't appeared since they disappeared. Rongzi said, Get out and use the car in front. I'm going to find Ayn Rand. Mojin Rong spoke coldly. Hey, how did you become so disloyal? Prioritizing your lover over your friend? Rongzi was dissatisfied. Hurry! Mojin Rong said Mosan to stop the car and sent Rongzi down. Good, Mojin Rong, you forget your friends after getting a wife. You're so mean. He got out of the car and cursed loudly, but the car had already driven off. At the Lan family, Ayn Rand was exhausted after coming back from the Lin Corporation. If she didn't have a crane to help her just now, she would have died. She looked at the tiger grass seeds in her bag. It was worth it. Boss, we didn't know you were this capable. He had seen his boss hanging on the highest wall of the tall building like a gecko, and she had come down safely. 2 kind people helped me today, or I would have died. Ayn Rand smiled and sent a message. Boss, there's the news of Shang Taiyan's company again, Skinny spoke. Tell me. I heard that Shang Taiyan's company is going to import a batch of medical equipment and they want to sell it at a low price. They are preparing for a black market transaction, Skinny continued. Ayn Rand thought for a moment. Fatty, go to the black market and ask what's the lowest price, then buy some. Boss, why do you want it? What if it can't be used? Besides, where are you going to put it? Fatty asked curiously. The Lan family is going to buy medical equipment soon. Ask from them in the name of the Lan family hospital. I will tell Dad about this, Ayn Rand said. Boss, you're so generous, sacrificing yourself for everyone. Knowing how to suck up to people was always useful, and Skinny was the best at this. Stop flattering me. Hurry and go to work. After Lan Ayn Rand finished speaking, she closed her phone. She just wanted to see if the equipment Shang Taiyan sold was fake. If it's like what she thought, she would definitely report him. Just then, Mojin Rong and Mosan walked in. Li Yer was a little surprised. After all, she hasn't seen Mojin Rong in a long time, so she greeted him warmly. Jinrong, you haven't been here in a long time. Hurry and sit. Mrs. Lan, where is Ayn Rand? Mosan went straight to the point. Ayn Rand just returned. I'll call her. Li Yer was about to get up when Mojin Rong spoke. It's all right, I'll go. With that, Mojin Rong went upstairs and knocked on the door politely. Strangely, he knocked on the door as though he already knew where Ayn Rand's room was. Ayn Rand happened to open the door and was overjoyed to see Mojin Rong. Butler Mo, come in quickly. Mojin Rong was resistant to this kind of enthusiasm and shook his head. Miss Lan, may I know where you were today? He didn't like beating around the bush. Of course, I went to school. Why, did you miss me? Ayn Rand was very close to Mojin Rong, but they barely touched. She stared straight at Mojin Rong with a sweet smile on her face. Mojin Rong's heart was beating fast and his face was flushed. No, stay away from me. You haven't been to the Lin Corporation today? Mojin Rong seemed to have smelled a familiar scent from Ayn Rand, wondering when he had smelled it before. Ayn Rand was stunned for 2 seconds before she smiled. I was in school the whole day and went to the library after school. Why would I go to the Lin Corporation? Mojin Rong took 2 steps back and Ayn Rand took 2 steps forward. Miss Lan, Mrs. Lan and young master are downstairs. This isn't good. There's nothing bad happening. Why don't you come in with me? Ayn Rand was like a seductive demon, forcing Mojin Rong towards the stairs. Chapter 85. Was he afraid of dogs? At this moment, Ayn Rand suddenly walked out and was stunned by the sight. Sis, you... Ayn Rand was given a fright and slipped, falling down the stairs. Mojin Rong swiftly grabbed her and pulled her into his arms, their eyes meeting. Ayn Rand was scared skilly as well. The scene was like a scene from an old idol drama. The 2 of them really looked like a match made in heaven. If only he were Mojin Rong. Ayn Rand, come down quickly. Li Yer didn't see the scene upstairs. Ayn Rand heard the voice and coughed twice. Ayn Rand returned to her senses and went downstairs in a daze. Coming, Mom. I didn't see anything between you and my sister. Ayn Rand went downstairs in embarrassment. Mo Jinrong felt his face heat up as he followed them downstairs. Downstairs, both Lee Hero and Mo San were chatting happily. Mom. Ayn Rand walked over with a flushed face. What happened to your face? Hurry and sit down. Jinrong just told me a joke. Lee Hero was overjoyed. Previously, they said that Mo Jinrong was cold and heartless, but she didn't think the rumors were true. She didn't expect him to have such a humorous and passionate person. It's just a little hot, Ayn Rand smiled awkwardly. Oh, right, Jinrong, you haven't said why you're here today, the Hero asked. I'm here to see Ayn Rand. Mo San guessed that young master had settled the matter, and there seemed to have been an interesting episode between the two of them. Jinrong, I have something to tell you. Ayn Rand is still a student, and even though you're married, I think a girl needs to finish school. The Mo family is in a hurry to have children, right? The Hero wanted to remind Mo Jinrong, since she knew a little bit about men. Have children? This isn't urgent, is it? Mo San was slightly taken aback. How was he going to reply? He looked at Mo Jinrong, who didn't seem anxious, and decided he was right. That's good. Mom, why are you saying this again? Are you two done with your business? If you're done, then you can go. Ayn Rand was already embarrassed, but now she was even more embarrassed. She hurried Mo Jinrong to leave. How can you chase them away? The Hero reproached. It's all right. I have seen Ayn Rand. I'll go back first to visit you again. Mo San stood up. All right, come again often. Ayn Rand, send them off. Lee Hero felt that Mo Jinrong was a good person, even though he was ugly. Ayn Rand nodded and walked Mo Jinrong out. The embarrassment from just now hasn't dissipated, and Ayn Rand's face is still flushed, making her look extremely cute. Mo San found the atmosphere a little awkward, but didn't know what to say. Well, we'll be going. Mo San smiled. Mo Jinrong turned and was about to get into the car when suddenly a girl opposite was walking towards him with an extremely small chihuahua. The chihuahua ran towards Mo Jinrong happily. Oh, a dog! Mo Jinrong hugged Ayn Rand tightly in fright, wishing he could hold on to her. Ayn Rand had forgotten that in her past life, Mo Jinrong was most afraid of dogs. Even such a palm-sized chihuahua was like a ferocious beast to him. The trauma is from Mo Jinrong's childhood. To be precise, it was Mo Changwen's doing. But it had been so many years and he still hasn't changed. It has been many years since Mo Jinrong was frightened to this extent, and it was quite funny to see him like this. Mo Jinrong sighed in relieved when the chihuahua was completely away from him. Butler Mo, Ayn Rand was only 80 pounds, so it was difficult for her to support herself with a weight that was twice as heavy, hanging onto her. It was only then that Mo Jinrong realized he was hanging onto Ayn Rand like a sloth, and he came down like nothing happened. I'm sorry. His apology was as soft as a mosquito's voice. Ayn Rand chuckled and watched the car leave. Suddenly she remembered something. Mo Jinrong didn't have a relapse? This was strange. In the car, Mo San couldn't hold in his laughter. Young master, such a small dog, even the size of my palm, but you actually... Mo San rocked back and forth with laughter. Mo Jinrong didn't speak, staring straight at Mo San. He had no choice as Mo Changwen's trauma was too great. But I found it strange that you didn't have a relapse today, young master. Mo San stopped laughing. When he said this, Mo Jinrong suddenly remembered that he had touched Ayn Rand twice today, but his illness didn't flare up. Yes, that was strange. Mo Jinrong's tone was still calm. But I'm curious. What exactly happened up there? Miss Lon's face was flushed. Mosan was extremely curious about such gossip. You have to mind my business too. I just went up to ask about the Lin Corporation today. Mosan spoke casually, but only he knew that when his eyes met Ayn Rand's today, her big eyes were identical to Zero's. He didn't know whether it was his imagination or he thought too highly of her, but he had a nagging feeling that she looked like both Q and Zero.